music. Yeah.
Milsurp Garage. What's up, everyone? You guessed it. We're back with another one of these 22s. You know I love these things, especially these Savages. I have a couple of others of these. We've done videos on them. We have the model 1914, obviously from 1914, and the model 29. In between, there were some of these. There was a bolt action. There was a semi-auto. There's an early 1903. That's obviously even before the 1914. That was pump action with a magazine. There's a bunch of these things knocking around, but I'm walking around at the show. The shows, by the way, they've been dead. They haven't had them for the longest time where I live, and when they came back, the first couple of shows were terrible, and a couple of them I went to, a couple of them I didn't go to and heard they were terrible. I went to one of these big. I took a little bit of a hiatus, and this big one about an hour and a half away from me. I went to. I figured, this is going to break the chain of these shows being terrible. And by terrible, I mean just high prices, not much really to offer. Just, like the whole hobby just kind of, everyone just kind of sold out and depleted what they had, and there really wasn't any way to buy anything because of all these shows were closed. So it's just kind of, with a collector's market like this, it kind of just stagnates everybody. It's weird. New stuff doesn't enter the marketplace and everything. You know what I mean? No one's buying collections when you can't even go over someone's place to check out a collection because of what we've been dealing with. So the show that was about an hour and a half away was a stinker as well, and I was really getting discouraged. But a local show popped up, and there's one next weekend too. But a local show popped up. I went to it and found a couple of things that I liked. So if you check out the last video, you see that's me in the parking lot. I was so excited I had to do a video in the parking lot, but I decided to do a closer look at this Savage first. I think if people would vote, I think there might have been 2 votes for the Savage, 1 vote for the Winchester or something like that. So here we are with the Savage. So I love these 22s. I saw this thing on the table. This is a very distinctive look right here. You know what I mean? This right away tells you Savage, that little cutout where the slide arm goes. And don't know enough about them to just identify, just by looking at it, and then because they all look very similar, but not just that, when you're you get into these phases. I'll get into phases where I'll take out my Savage books. I'll be looking at, and you start to learn all these little idiosyncrasies. You're looking online, see these little design modifications they went through the years, and you're like the expert of these for a week. And then you put them away and you take out something else and you start delving into something else. And then you kind of forget, I'm I couldn't really remember just looking at it. I'm like, this is a 25. No, I have a 1914. I have a model 29. This is actually an interesting step where the 1914 was around for a while, and then they decided in 25 to make some changes, but in 29 kind of revamp the whole gun, And the 1914 was known for being kind of wonky, sort of, or something. I don't know. It gets a bad rap. It always worked perfect for me, and I think it's a awesome design when you look at it. But just a little overly complex, a little it's definitely odd. The way it's put together. There's nothing else like it, and there's a lot of very small, intricate parts. The way it's put together, the way it works is so you can imagine they'd make some improvements, And it's pre-World War One. It definitely needed an update, but it's kind of weird that they would update in 25 and then in 29 could like totally revamp the gun like completely. So that's kind of strange, but we could sort of delve in, look a little bit at some of these like modifications, but let's just specifically throw down some knowledge about this one. It's manufactured from 25 to 29. This one is a 1927, so it's like right there in the middle of the production. It shoots shorts, longs, long rifles, 20 shorts, 17 longs, 15 long rifles. It's a 24-inch barrel. It's a takedown, obviously. That's what the screw is for here. Weighs 5 3/4 pounds. This particular one came with a marble sight. It comes with front and rear. The front one is kind of like a, if you could see in there, it's kind of like a disc sort of inside under that hood. So it's not just a hood over the regular blade front sight. There's actually like a very fragile looking disc in there. So they cover it with that hood. And that's one of the reasons why this really jumped out, because, all right, so I don't like to talk prices. I never really talk about how much money I spent on one, or how, I don't really like this hobby. To me, it's not an investment hobby, so I don't look at it from that angle. But since pricing is big right now, because a couple of these shows, the reasons why they were bad was just like there might be some, they really wasn't anything for me, but I was just noticing that even the stuff that wasn't for me was out of control. The prices are very, very high. So the price tag, the prices now, I think, is something that would matter. So for the next couple of videos, if pricing stays crazy like that, or it seems to be like the biggest issue everyone's talking about is how expensive everything is, I just like to show that it's not necessarily so. True that these were only like $100 like a while ago. It's not that long ago, but look, everything is taking a step up, and I don't mind paying a few hundred for one of these if they're all there, not buggered up, and like original and good shape, and especially with the marble sight. I've seen these marble sights on eBay and that's not something that's new. They've always been expensive. And if you're specifically looking for one for these Savages, you know what I mean? It's like, you might pay a few $100 just for that, So I thought this was a good deal. People will always tear you apart and say like, "Oh, you're crazy, you paid too much." But he had a $425 price tag on it, and then you had to pay $25 for the NICS check. He said, I asked him if he could do $400. He said, "I'll do $400. We'll split the NICS check." I only paid $10 towards the $25 NICS check. So to tell you the truth, he paid most of that too. So $410, I thought was a good price. And this is straight from the gun show now. I didn't do anything to this thing, except I did check to make sure that it cycled properly. I did do the takedown thing just to take a look inside to make sure there wasn't anything obviously broken or out of place, and it did function, but I did not try to cycle any snap caps through it or anything. I figured this is good. I'm not going to clean it. I'm not going to do anything. I didn't even take the tag off of it. I was just waiting to be with you guys for that. So here's the snap caps. We're going to check that. We could run some of those through it. What should we do first? Should we do some comparisons? Let's just stick to this one for now. So if you're into these 22s, there's a couple of things you got to get. You got to get Walnut and Steel by Bill Ward. It's a must. And then you might want to get Walnut and Steel 2 by Bill Ward. And if you're into these Savages specifically, this is a good book. Excuse me. J. Kimmel, Savage and Stevens Arms. But the thing about this book is it has absolutely no rhyme or reason to it. It's just a bunch of stuff thrown together. It just goes all over the place. It's almost like a scrapbook of gun magazine articles on Stevens. So it's not like you could just look up a model 25 here and just and then look at that, and then the next page will be like the 29, and the next page. No, it's just kind of like you might find different things on the Model 25 all throughout it, all different stuff, you know what I mean? So almost like you got to read the whole book to see if there's any information on what you're specifically looking for. And there's no table. Oh, there's a table of contents here. See, but look at even the table of contents. Look at it. It's like it's different ads. Then there's the history of this. That, you know, it's all over the place. It's literally all over the place. And I don't think in the back, is there a glossary in the back? There is a glossary in the back. See, but if you look under model, it doesn't have model. So what good is that going to do? Here it does kind of show 1814 Hamlet, 1929 retail prices. Yeah, this is the craziest table of contents and index I've ever seen. But this book is kind of cool too. I recommend it because there is a lot of information in here. And there isn't a lot of information on savages, and it's not well put together. Or maybe it is well put together. Maybe that's what the guy was going for. I mean, who knows? But for like research, it's tough. It's for just reading, it's fun, you know. So, listen, I got plenty of time. I'll sit there and read the whole book. I don't care. So yeah, we got our hands on a 25. The thing is in beautiful shape. So these things, they beautiful wood here. I haven't done anything to it yet. No wood treatment yet. No nothing. See the Savage Indian down here. There he is. This butt plate, from what I'm reading, was supposed to have the lines in it, like the cuts in it. But I don't know. It looks original to me, and it does not have that. So you can never really trust what you read in these books when it comes to these gallery rifles, because, man, these things were all over the place. Like they even would make all different kinds. They switched it up. Like, look at all the years that they made, like the 1914, like all through the teens into like I went all the way up to 1925. And there's nothing that's just set in stone about them. They would just they just loved throwing together different different kinds of stuff to like make them all unique, you know. That's interesting. So this barrel even is, they said that this barrel on the 25 is longer than the one that was on the 14, but I lined mine up and they're both the same length. So, you know, I don't know what they're talking about in these books. They apparently these things can do whatever, you know. Yeah, so they're like very fragile feeling when you cycle these Savages. They really do feel like they could just fall apart at any minute. But I don't think that's true. I think these things are actually stronger than people think. So these magazines, we've been through this before if you're new to them. They're tubular magazines. They have a follower. They work very much like a box magazine. They have a follower that's spring-loaded, and it charges the rounds into the magazine. And it creates like a positive pressure pushing out that works along with the action to cycle the rounds. So when you put them in this tube, you just throw them in this tube and you line them up. When you push this tube back into this tube, the rounds go up this tube, up inside this tube, and they're all spring loaded. So this with long rifle will take 15. Let's throw 15 of these suckers in here. They're obviously going to be facing this way. You know, in modern times, they would make a bullet-shaped hole so you knew which way to put it in, because it's kind of like looking at it. You're upside down, you're sideways. You know, it's not unthinkable to load them the wrong way. And it's definitely not going to work. So 15 seems like an awful lot for this little tube. Doesn't even look like a large tube, but it says 15. I wanted to see it here. At 14, there's a nose sticking out, so I'm wondering if they expect you to cycle one, then pull out the tube, and then load the rest. No, there it goes. That went in. So there's 15. Now, you can always tell the quality of these like how the precision of how they're manufactured, by how easy it is to get this tube to now slide. See how it slides over the rounds now. So if it slides over the rounds easy, it's usually a good quality one. It's kind of going one at a time with a little twisting pressure. I hate to say it, but it's not really the smoothest one I've ever felt. You imagine every time you load it, you have to do this. Hanging up right there. Let's go. Hello. You want to go the rest of the way? Oh, I went back one. I lost one. Wow. You're not looking good there, Marlon. Marlon Stevens. Yeah, the Marlin was actually one that I think was very smooth. Why would I can't turn I can't turn it on that last round. Looks like maybe that one round we're gonna have to cycle one in. That's odd. So let's see if we can let's see if we could at least cycle one in. Yep, it does. So we had to cycle one in just to get this to turn down here. Now we popped out, so we have to get it over the rounds all over again. You see what I'm saying, why this is a big consideration. It's I mean, I have a Winchester where you just push this tube and it just gobbles them up like smooth as silk. So you can imagine. And maybe if they were brass and lead, it would be smoother or something, but I don't know. I doubt it. I think you'd struggle like this no matter what. I don't know if it would be better standing it straight up, but then I wouldn't be on camera, and I don't want to do that to you. But maybe standing it straight up, maybe they're all laying on the side. I'm going to try it. I'm going to just stand it straight up, and I'm going to push down and see if it goes any smoother. No, didn't do anything. So I'll be down here with you. Come on, 2 more rounds. 1 more round. Come on. Get over that last round. Let's go. Come on. I've never had one this bad. 1 more round. Oh, I lost one. I went back one. All right, there we go. We're still up to that last round. Oh. See what I'm saying? Every time you load it, you'd have to go through that. That would cause me to check off the shitty magazine box in the review. That's for damn sure. So let's cycle some through here. You can't actually pull the trigger on these things because they're aluminum, right? And obviously the rimfire hits the rim, so you can't have like a rubbery center like in my realistic snap caps. These things are not realistic snap caps. They're just some aluminum. They call them snap caps, but I wouldn't snap on these snap caps. They're just kind of like cycle tools to check the cycling, and even then these rims here start to get chewed up pretty damn quick. So if you're having problems cycling these, there could be a good chance that just because they're all chewed up, and that if they were actually rounds, you'd be okay. So let's see, after firing, let's see how well we eject here. Oh, that was nice and smooth. You saw that? See, instead of going hard, it's better to go slow. See what happens when you go slow. Look at that. As slow as I could go, it kicked that thing right across the table. Works well. The ejection is working great. It's feeding smooth. Oh, the feed is smooth. So then if you bang it out like that, you're not going to have a problem. You check to see how well it works by going slower. Oh, yeah. We're good. Nice. And we always want to start from the fully loaded because different pressures from the magazine tube could cause different results as you cycle. So you always want to see, like, as it gets weaker now, the amount of force of the rounds being pushed back into the receiver here. When it gets weaker, will it still reliably cycle? I guess in other words, it would be, is the magazine spring worn out? And that's it. We're empty. And it's functioning good. Beautiful. So, hey, why don't we, let's see. I forgot to have one thing ready that I need to have ready. Bear with me here. I need to have this guy. This is what I need. You need a nice wide screwdriver, and you need a screwdriver that fits inside this gap here, and could just about stand straight up inside the hole. This is even a little thin. See, I get a little thicker, because if it's better, but still a little floppy. When you do this, you want to have a screw, a bit here that fits inside the groove without too much play. With the play, I've done a video on this before. It actually will turn in the groove, and you won't have the full flat edge of the bit on the cut in the screw, and you'll just have the edges of the bit touching. And when that happens, it leaves two little raised edges. You've seen that in your screws, and that's where it comes from. See, like, you want to take off a screw like this, and you put it not in there, and you turn it side to side, and you hear clickety clacking. You know that there's too much play. This is much better, tighter. And I don't want it to be too tight in here, because I don't want to slip on this big screw. So we get in here, just crack that. There we go. The rest we could do by hand. We just need to crack it. When you tighten these, you always want to go just a touch more than finger tight. You want to finger tighten it, get your screwdriver in there, and just give it a little, don't go nuts, just a little, especially if you shoot them. If you shoot them, definitely. If it's really just going to be a safe, like a safe queen, then you don't have to. Are we good to, where are we? What are we doing? Let's take a look inside. Let's see what's going on. This is where YouTube will demonetize us now, because somehow, if we go inside the gun, a gun from 1925, and we start showing what awesome design it is inside, like this is like artwork. Somehow YouTube now feels that I am instructing on how to make a gun. I don't know. That is the reason for the demonetization once I take it apart. And it's funny, some gun channels that make them millions of dollars can take guns apart and stay monetized, but a little guy like me, So hopefully, if you're watching this, moderator, have a heart. No one's teaching anybody how to make a 1925 rifle. And I guarantee you can go back through history, and I really don't think one of these was ever used in a mass shooting. So what do we got in here? We got a serial number that matches, hopefully. Yeah, so we got a serial number that matches. So this way, you're serial numbering both halves, which is kind of cool. Let's zoom in a little bit. Let's see what we have here. Like I said, I had taken this apart already. I did, and I wiped it down a little bit. And I shouldn't have. I really should have shown exactly what it's like from the gun show, even dirty. But me, like, opening up a dirty gun and sitting here cleaning it while I talk to you, I don't think might be just a teeny bit less boring than the boring stuff I am already doing. So here's the slide release. That's all it does, is pick up this rod here out of that groove in the bolt, in the pump arm. That pump arm that you see on the outside here, this distinctive look, carries through onto the inside. There's a lot going on in here. So when this is released, it comes back. It's holding the bolt. This is your bolt right here. It's holding the bolt. It has a cam here. See it? And that cam engages this, which controls the lifter and such. So they when you fold these two halves together, that all comes together, and this is how you look at the functionality of them. They're very interesting. See that camming there, right? It's very interesting. So the bolt, I was looking at this already. I took the bolt out to clean it, and I noticed two extractors. One here, one here. Two extractors. Here's your firing pin, right here, right down the center. And you can see when the round sits in here, it's really only like maybe 70% of the round is up against the flat bolt face. See that? And then all this open space along here, that's what shows weakness. Weakness to the bolt. See how it's all skeletonized? Doesn't this remind you of remember the 51, the Remington Model 51, where I shattered the handgun? It's the handgun where I shattered the, what do they call that? The breech block or whatever? That really crazy Pedersen design. That breech block broke, and I had to find another one, and it was almost impossible to find because they all broke, and it's not like they make that part. And there's like so many guns were cannibalized for that breech block. This reminds me of it. It looks even similar, like when you look at it from this angle. But it just goes to show you the 22 ammunition was much milder, and you cannot even come close to anything hot if you're gonna shoot this gun regularly, or even once. I mean, regular, it doesn't matter, regularly or just once. You're gonna break it. You're gonna break it. My advice is stick to this CCI standard velocity. Here's what it looks like. This is what you got to stick with these old ones. Just trust me. Just buy bricks of it. I buy it by the brick, and that's all I shoot in these things. And some of these I shoot it once. I make sure it works. You know, if I have a day with it where I play around with a 50 rounds, 100 rounds, whatever, and sight it in and play with it, and then I take it home, and you're gonna see like my Model 14. I don't know if I'll ever shoot it again. I had a great day with it, a couple of days, and it was like it works. It was a trooper, and I don't know. It's like then you're retired at that point. And I'm gonna show you specifically what I do to them when I kind of don't think I'm ever gonna shoot it again. Just the knowledge that it works is enough. You know what I mean? So let's now at this point, just as it sits, let's get it out of here for a moment, and let's bring in the 14. So here's the Model 14. All right, I have a video on this, of course, if you want to check it out, to just look at the specifics of this one. But just looking at it overall, the few differences are the safety's back here. Clicking the safety on and off is back here. It's kind of like a la shotgunish sort of, and whereas the redesigned in 25 brought a regular crossbolt safety to it, which is probably something that for years and years people hated about the 14, so they finally just did that. And also, oh, you know what? I almost forgot. See, like back here, it reminded me when we're back here. So there's no safety here, but there is a button here. That button back here on the 25 is actually a cocking indicator. So when it's cocked, with even in the dark or whatever, you could feel up with your finger and feel that. Remind me later. I hope I remember to show you that when it's uncocked, you know, in the fired position, when the action is relaxed and the firing pin is forward, that button goes away. So that's pretty cool that there's a cocking indicator on it, you know. I can't imagine that was like a big thing that people were screaming for, but I guess once they got this room back, they figured it's easy enough to add it on just by the way the mechanism was shaped, sort of. I don't know. Let's see, I should be able to get this off by hand. Nope. Gave that one snug too. Let me see. This is a little tighter, I think. No, this fits perfect. But yeah, that's what the screw head should do. That's what the the tool should do. Stand straight up in the screw. When you know you're close to it being the perfect, at least being perfect enough to not damage it. Again, not captive. Usually these things, like for a lot of these gallery guns were captives. It's kind of interesting that isn't. The separation is a little bit different here. The way it comes apart is a little different in the 14. Now, here's something you're going to see right away. that's different is that this is full of gun grease. The thing with gun grease and me, okay, I don't use gun grease. I mean, hardly ever do I use gun grease. Where is my gun grease? I'll show the one that I use. I'm looking on my shelf with all my stuff, and I don't even see. Oh, here it goes. This is the gun grease I use. Outers here. Now, it's messy. It smells. I knocked something down, and my OCD will not let me leave that for later. So it stinks, and it's messy as hell. And I don't use it on a regular basis. I use it for guns where the action is going to be operated for like the rest of my life, but I'm not going to shoot it. So I don't have to worry about it gumming up things, especially with a 22 like this. You do not want to put gun grease because the 22, like the powder, like you've seen those like little black dots when you inside your 22 after you shoot. It's like the burnt powder it makes a mess. It's filthy. The CCI is actually really good, but it's 22 is just inherently dirty. And with gun grease like this, it'll all stick to that. It'll make it that much worse. It'd be like running through a field full of feathers. Yeah, it's going to stick to your stick to your feet. It's going to get in your clothes and your hair a little bit. But could you imagine doing that covered in gun grease? That's exactly what happens to the inside of your gun when you fire 22s. So, bear with me because there's going to be some grease in this video. Let's orientate them the same way. Right away, we can see that the bolt is kind of carried the same way. This is a little weird. I mean, this is like kind of looking like it's bent. It's just not the greatest system here. When you take it apart, it doesn't really function the way it should. See how it fell? It should be up here. I don't know if this part is just bent. Maybe if I took it out of here and like kind of straightened it out, but I'm not messing with it. I know when I put it together, I hold this like that. So you see it's like kind of falling out a little bit. It's kind of falling down here. If I just go like this and put positive pressure on the release, I could hold it in place. And when I put the gun together, I do that because I just don't want to mess around. You know, I never look. There's a serial number there too. I want to check to make sure. I think I have it in my book written down. 17013, is that the same that's here? Yes, it is. So wow. These halves belong together too. Here's some differences. Let's get a little closer. I don't want this to become a 1914 video, but I want to show you like the things that they changed. See the ejector right here? This is the ejector. So the bolt which does not have, why can't I get the bolt out as easy as I did before? There we go. The bolt does not have a dual extractor setup, one extractor. Unless it's broken off of here. Could it be that it's missing? It works. It looks like this should be an extractor there, but it's just milled out. There isn't even a hole for the pin or anything. Yeah, weird. There's nothing there, and it, like I said, it does function. And how much of the bolt face is covered by the round here? It's like a little bit more, if not the same. Yeah, that gun grease is really difficult to really examine these little teeny, idiosyncrasies. It's already all over my fingers. I don't know if I touch anything, it's going to get all over that. So here we have a much more intricate system of fragile parts. You can see right away, just this extractor, this ejector even over here. You see, like, we don't have that here in the 20. It's in the 25. It's been changed, and I think the extractor is just on the side of this part. Let's see. Back here somewhere. No, it would have to be on the same side. What is now used as an extractor? Interesting, but I know you could see it when you cycle it. We'll check that out when we get this back together. But yeah, you could see it's just a little bit more. You could see the design changes just by looking there. I'm thinking you could see everything over here. This is tough. This is tough to even camera. Well, anyway, let's get the 14 back together. Like I said, I think best thing to do is close the bolt. Have that there. And then boom. Is that good? That's good. So yeah, you could see in there now, you could see where that, let's get the light just right. You could see that extractor right there sticking up. If I could get, what should I use? I could use this. So yeah, there's the extractor right there, springy. And in the 25, let's see if, well, you know what, let's, you know what, we don't even have to compare the 29 to the 25, but it even, you're going to see why. It's not even remotely similar. They made a huge change, so we can't even compare it side by side like this. You'll see. To put this one together, don't know if yours would be the same, so I'm not saying they're all like this, but I lift up the slide release and I push it back just enough to tilt the bolt. See, watch that again. I go like this, just enough to tilt the bolt. See how it tilted, but it sat back like that, and it's out of its groove that holds it when you shoot. See, when you shoot, this falls into place right here. Boom. And now that's that little lip right there. Can you see that? That little edge, that's all that's holding the bolt there or whatever. So you can imagine, or so you're like, if you really wanted to check this thing out and look to see how well it's holding up, you might want to check along that back edge right here. You're like, how beat up is that getting? Because that's the only edge there that sits right inside there to hold all the pressure. That's why you don't want to shoot stingers, because you'll just shatter that and you'll just break that edge right off. You know what I mean? So I go like that, just enough to tilt it back, because this one is a pain in the ass to put together. So then once I get that there, and make sure I hold the slide in place. I hope this works on the, at least if it worked on the 15th try, I'd be happy. So you got to kind of, see this edge is like, has a lip, see? So you have to kind of fold it into place. Let's get it closed again, because it only has to be back just at that, like right there. That's the perfect spot. See, that might have even moved forward too far. Right there. And I come in here. Now you have to kind of do both things at once. You have to do that and this part back here. That's kind of like a puzzle. There you go. That's it right there. When you get that, you just hold the receiver halves together and you spin this in with your thumb. Oop, it's not going in. There we go. So that's how to do it on this gun. No, it's not threading in, which is weird. Why is that not threading in? I'm on the wrong side? No. Oh man, that popped out of there. How do you like that? I never saw that before. This kind of popped out of there. Interesting. Never saw that happen in one of these. I guess it's just like an insert, and I guess it was off a little bit, so it just pushed it out. No, it's not together right anymore. There we go. Now it clicked into place. Yep, there we go. Whew. Yeah, they're takedown, but it's not like you're, you're definitely not going to look like a whiz kid out there in the field, in the rain, standing there in the dirt, putting this thing together. Let's make sure the action cycle's right, and it is. Boom, boom. Then after that slight redesign, we moved into the 29, and the 29 was like a huge step up for them. What a and then it was around for a long time. I forgot when they stopped making these, but look into the 39 and you'll see they made them like forever. See if I wrote it in my book, if I could find it quick. In my gun book here. I'm looking for so Savage Model 29. I didn't write. Made from 1933 to 1945. Why did I write 1933? Did they really start making the 39 and 33? I wrote it. If I wrote it, it must be true. No, but so till 45. After, like during World War II, they were still making this thing. And I guess it's not an incredibly long time. I think they made them longer. I think those dates might be wrong. I'm going to have to research that, which I do all the time, constantly making... Oh, I just noticed now that screw turns with the movement of this. So that's like a direct... screwed directly into this part. Yeah, look at that. It even wobbles with the screw. Weird. Never noticed that. So, the difference here... Oh, you know what? I'm going to forget, so I have to show you. Here's the... here's this indicator. I want to make sure this is together right. Yeah, it's right. So here's this indicator. See, like it's popped up like that? And then if we... Let's open the action. And then with these, you don't have to dry fire them. The Savages, you open it to a point where if you drop the hammer, it just lands on the back of the bolt right there. So now the hammer is on the back of the bolt. It didn't have to slam into the back of the bolt. You just learn exactly the spot where the trigger can be pulled, and it will strike. It'll land on the hammer, and you can ride it down like that. And then when you do, look, the button gone. See that? And when cocking it, boom, it pops up. It's pretty cool, right? It's an interesting point. It gets me thinking. Weird things like that do get me thinking, where if, let's say right now, it's loaded, okay? If I go like this and I pull it back here, let's say, that round is captured and held onto the bolt face by those two extractors. And then if I were to, right now, if I pulled the trigger, the bolt isn't back far enough where the hammer will just ride down. It's going to come forward and strike the bolt and strike the firing pin. Yeah, and if the round is there, the firing pin could come out, and that could detonate the round out of battery like that. You always got to be careful with these old guns. You learn them like this first, and be very careful when you're shooting them, because you're pulling a trigger, it's going bang, you're putting holes in paper, and you're thinking that like it's the same as any modern gun that you use. It's like it's doing the same thing. It's like it's easy to get lulled into thinking that everything's all the same. It's like this false sense of security. This is like 1914, 1925. People would get their faces half blown off by like some gun, and it would just be like, yeah, well, nobody was suing anybody for face lossage. You just moved on. You're just like, yeah, you hear what happened to Tim? His face was destroyed. Stand by. Sorry, got pulled away. So, where were we? So the 29 kept certain things like the cross bolt safety, which, as you can see, it just literally looks identical. See, but trigger guard larger. Definitely a different shape to the receiver. But things like down here, if you notice, this is the same locking mechanism and look to the magazine tube. Where on the 1914, it looked a little bit different. It looked like this. So you can see the transition carried over some of the things from the 25. But it's a neat little 4-year, mini update. Maybe they did that to check out some of the changes, to see how they would do when they moved into the 29. And then the 29, I think there's like a whole bunch of different versions of the insides, the inner workings of the 29. Let's get we need a much fatter screw. See now, see that? This is much fatter, so we want to be able to stand up in there. So in order to do that, look how fat that guy is. There's a difference between that and that, these two, you know what I'm saying? So if I put this in here, there'd be so much side-to-side play to this. Let me just use the bit. There'd be so much side-to-side play to this bit that it would make 2 raised marks on that beautiful looking screw. I'll see those marks at a gun show and be like, yeah, I'm not going to get that. I don't even want that on my guns. You know, these are the things that I pay attention to when I'm looking to, buy something. And you could fix that. There's ways to fix stuff like that, but it's never going to look 100%. Now, look, it's captive, number one, the screw. And we don't break apart clamshell anymore now. Now we kind of do you got to work this one. Just keep working it. And make sure this is out. Is it out? Make sure it's all the way back. And look here, Ranger. See, it says Ranger. Is that even a true? Watch the video on it. You see, I talk about it a little bit. I don't even know if I think I have even more information now on what that means, the Ranger thing. But it's definitely like a Sears thing. Opening the bolt help? I guess you just gotta keep working it. It's not coming. Why do I feel like this is hanging up? Let's put it back together again, all the way out. I feel like that. Oh, yep, that was it. I was holding it up all right. Could have just stabbed my friend next to me with a barrel if I was out in the woods. So look at how we come apart now. Total change. And even the internals here, the way they work, different. And I think, can we pull this bolt right out of here? Doesn't this come right out? I could have sworn this was easy enough to, yeah. Look at the difference here in the bolt face. See how much more? The whole round now is supported in the rear. The firing pin sticks through. In other words, you can see this crescent on top here even. So it's like the whole base of the 22 round is sitting against there. Now that's how you see how they're getting stronger and stronger. And to put it back together again, yeesh. This one, see this right here? This part, there's like a whole bunch of different parts. I think my video, I actually break down. I need to watch that again. I haven't seen it in a long time. I love that video. It actually breaks down all the different variations because I found some website online that lists them. So let's see, how does this, oh, there you go. That's simple enough. Wow. Yeah, they really revamped the takedown and put back together thing. This is just stiff. But this one I take this gun to the range and shoot it every once in a while. I do. This one gets a little bit more use than, say, the 14. I keep it nice and snug and ready to go. So that's the 29. So hope you guys were interested in seeing the little changes that these things went through. I mean, in the grand scope of this hobby, you're sitting here analyzing little idiosyncrasies between the different models of Savage gallery guns. Is definitely like a little niche thing that only a few people would be into. But But yeah, I just I'm fascinated by these 22s. I didn't do enough research to see if the same, because I think his name is John Savage. I think he literally designed these. I mean, I think all three might be his. You know what I mean? And that auto loader one, I'm going to throw up a picture of it. I gotta find one of these. What is it? 1912. I need one of these. It's an auto loader. I want to see what's going on in there. I want to check out his blowback action. I want to see how he made that work, because I love looking inside these things. They're like little fascinating little mechanicals in here, and I love checking them out. How they're all different and the different variations. You know what I mean? And that's that. You all take care. I'm coming back with the Winchester Model 50 video. Another weird mechanical. It stands out. It stands alone as like the only gun that looks like that. Winchester, they were up against it when John Browning took off, and they never could seem to get an auto loader together. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not interesting or awesome or well built or finely crafted. They just never really lived up to what Browning was putting out, to be honest with you. And then like all the patents, like he had patents on things where they just couldn't they couldn't just copy them, so they had to like get creative on their own, and creative they got. They might not have made better shotguns, but man, when you see this Winchester Model 50, this is not a gas operated shotgun. This is before gas operated shotguns. I'm pretty sure. I mean, if there was like a couple that started sneaking through before this one, all right, but for the most part, gas-operated shotguns hadn't really hit the market yet, so it was all about like long recoil and everything, and Winchester and Carbine Williams is the designer, and John Browning's son even got involved, which is kind of interesting. So there's some like weird designs being thrown together, and you're really going to find that one fascinating, and that's coming up soon. And until then, it looks like we're back in action over here with some gun shows to get some cool shit to show you. See y'all later.
Yes.